All right. It is quarter after. Says, um, we can hear from you now.
Okay, should I write like what I wrote, or can I like say like how I describe my character sketch? What should I like speak
Read what you wrote.
say?
Read what you wrote, and no apologies. Just read what you wrote.
Okay. See when Cristiano Ronaldo, after scoring the winning goal for Real Madrid.
Oh, go slow down. Very
Okay.
slow. Everybody read slowly. Okay.
He was driven with emotion, flexing all the possible muscles in his body to celebrate. No one could stand a chance against him with the determination and passion for the game. Tense knuckles, veins popping through the harsh breezed weather. He controlled the air. Strong abs depicting the most fearsome gorilla in the jungle. His chest out loud, roaring like a lion, scaring away the prey. A genius, a phenomenon, making you wonder what just happened. A creative, passionate player driven by the force of the atmosphere around the crowd. Legs of absolute power, sprinting every millisecond to win an important game. His strong, sturdy cleats gripping harshly onto the field with every step. That's what I wrote.
Okay. Very, very good. Very, very nice. You've got so much. And I'll call it engaging language. Engaging language. You've got, tense muscles. And also I have to say that you have ideas that are unusual, which is very, very good. The tense muscles. What's that thing about that controlled the air? Can you read that little bit again?
Okay, sure. So I wrote
Just before the chest. Just before the chest. Tense muscle.
tense knuckles, veins popping through the harsh breeze weather. He controlled the air.
Beautiful. Look, right. Tense knuckles, and it goes on, and then he controlled the air. That is a very poetic idea, really poetic idea. He controlled the air. It's really beautiful. A genuine phenomenon, creative passions, a lot of strong language. The cleats gripping harshly. Again, a really good adjective. It's not what we expect. And this is a lot more evocative than what you had in your monologue that you read to me earlier today. The other people didn't hear. He read to me before class. So I would say really good strides. Really well done. Thank you very much, Fez. So good. Good
Thank
night
you.
to you. All right. Thanks, Fez. Goodbye. Okay, I think
Thanks.
Rachel's next. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, Rachel, let's go.
So I'm not exactly sure if this is what you were looking for, but
No apologies. Just hit into it, Rachel.
okay. My father's sunken eyes gaze sadly at me. His cheekbones stick out at sharp angles from his face. He wraps a thin blanket more tightly around himself, as if doing so could protect him from the cruelty of the outside world. In silence on the side of the highway we sit. I stir, uncomfortable. What is it he has to say? Dad? I ask. He just shakes his head, his greasy, tangled hair swaying with the motion. I tug at my own brown hair. If it weren't so matted, it would be long enough for me to sit on. I shiver, but I don't dare break the silence by asking for my coat. It doesn't matter much. It's 3 sizes too small and not very warm. I let my eyes fall to the few feet of dead grass where my father's hands sit. His shrunken, chapped, calloused hands. The hands that used to work in an office, then cooked food in a restaurant, fixed cars, and now carry our belongings around from place to place. He opens his mouth as if ready to say what's on his mind. I straighten up expectantly, not prepared for what he's about to say. They want to take you away, he says, and I don't have to ask who. I already know.
Wow. Rachel, that's incredible.
Thank
Absolutely incredible. Really good. I mean, I don't know why you didn't have confidence at the beginning. So you've just got to always have confidence in yourself. Okay? And don't apologize. I don't want to hear any apologies or concern before reading. Okay. Look, it's just like this magnificent melding of the physiognomy, what he looks like, and and the character and the situation. The father's shrunken eyes, sharp, sunken eyes, sharp cheekbones, just sharp angles. And then we've got the thin blanket, not just a blanket, a thin blanket. So we're getting this idea like that photograph of the homeless person. They're thin, the blanket's thin. I mean, the eyes were shrunken. It's thin. Something is wrong, and it's protecting him from the cruelty of the world. Of course, a thin blanket can't really protect you from the cruelty of the world. Um, you're on the sideway, and now we've got actual two characters here, and they're sitting uncomfortably. So we're getting a sense of storyline here. Um, um, the father's greasy hair has some emotion, and then the girl's hair is long. We begin to get a sense of what her personality is like. I think her jacket is 3 times too small, so we're certainly getting some ideas here, perhaps of poverty, if something is just really, really, really wrong with this family unit. Um, Shrunken tight hands. I thought this hands thing, Rachel, was really exceptional. Where you talk about the hands being shrunken tight that used to work in an office, and then I think you said worked in a restaurant. Is that right?
And then fixed cars.
And then fix cars. But now we're focused on what these hands have done, and that's really remarkable. Where you're following through what has this body part done that ties into a storyline, to the backstory that gets us here, where he comes to the denouement, the final thing, which is that the child's going to be taken away from him, and this bond is going to be broken. Very, very powerful, Rachel. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next?
Next up,
Nami? Okay.
Okay, so here it is. Goosebumps prickled my skin as a silvery white light darted through the trees. As it came closer, I noticed its sallow face and sunken eyes. He was an elf, meaning a long and yet pressed-in nose. For some reason, this ghost nose seemed dangly and useless. His ears were even longer than a normal elf's, like June had told me. The points on them had small, thin gray hairs, and the ears glowed in a strange blue-yellow. His eyes were glassy, round, and eerily completely silver. Large poofs of silver white hair surrounded his unusually round and pale face. My fingers brushed against the skin. A shiver ran through my spine as I felt the squishy, fabricy texture of the ghost's leg. He was wearing a thin cloth with vials in each of his pockets. He grabbed one with his right hand. In his left he gripped a string slot. He loaded the vial, and my hands immediately flew in front of my face to protect my head. He let go of the slingshot, and the vial harmlessly landed in my lap. I stared at it, a grin slowly spreading across my face. I was about to use its contents on the ghost, but all I saw was a shimmering light floating away from me and through the dense forest. And so then, yeah.
Okay, really nice, Nami. Really nice. Okay. The beginning is really, really elegant. Goosebumps prickled my skin as a silvery light. Just, right into it. And of course, when you say goosebumps prickled my skin, we can all feel that. It gives corporality, it gives corporality to your character. And that is absolutely very hard to do and very well done. Especially as now this other character is not corporeal. This other character, this elf, is also kind of a ghost and ends up drifting away. The description of the elf, good long nose, but I like this sort of comparison that you kind of know something about elves, I think, from somebody else, so you understood that this nose was a little bit different from normal. And that's wonderful because it really suggests these aren't just a cookie cutter cartoon, each one is going to be the same, but they have variability. It's a real population. Um, um, Descriptions: the puffs of white hair. Um, it has some corporality at this moment. There's a squishy texture, which is nice because it's going to transform. And then I also sort of especially liked where you kept track of the hands. You grabbed a right hand and then a left hand. And this is also something I think in Madeline's um, story where there was some touching at the beginning. Sort of keeping track of what's happening is a very powerful way to make characters feel that seem real. Because our imagination is filling in the rest. And it's nice, the slingshot, hands protecting the face, and then a shimmering light floats away, which gives you a really beginning, middle, and end, a beautiful to the whole thing. So congratulations on it. Thank you very much.
So we have 2 more readers for today, but for now we're going to have Perry, and then after Perry, Iago.
Okay.
What to do with such terrible eyes? They were wide, wet, bloodshot things that stood out even in a crowd of 100, and the right one was black and swollen. Below the eyes, the man's nose, pale and slender, rose from his face, then dipped back down into it only a few centimeters below, unnoticed. The lips were cut up, chapped, and ruined, as the man felt like his heart was. The chin was small and pointed, and the rest of the face was only a bit wider. Around his shoulders was a tiny cloth, which had once been a large rag, which had once been a ripped coat, which had once been a fine coat. What were once smooth silken pants had had a similar fate. The man was barefoot and gloveless, and his hands and feet were a deep shade of purple from the punishing cold of winter. His fingernails were reduced to nothing, for the man had bitten them anxiously day after day. A once successful businessman, now injured, rejected, and homeless, he thought about standing up straight, but no longer had the will even to accomplish this simple task.
Whoa. Wow. I know I'm going to get this reputation for the wows today. Perry, that just makes goosebumps on my back. Everybody else feel that? Power of that story? I mean, God. I want you to read. I mean, there's just so much in that, Perry. You're really firing on all cylinders. Sometimes say of my daughter, who is firing on all cylinders, by the way. Such terrible eyes. What to do with such terrible eyes? That's the opening, right, Perry?
Yes.
What to do with such terrible eyes? I don't know where you got that from, but man, they stood out in a crowd, even of 100. So that is a lot more powerful, really, than that description from the Hunger Games. These are eyes that in a crowd of 100, even 100, are going to call attention to themselves. So there's something really, really special going on here. And then you're going to get this detail, something back down a few centimeters. The lips are cut and chapped. And then there's this thing you did that I've just never read before. I mean, it really is up there. And I want you to read it again. That's where you talk about the rag and how the rag came from this cloth that had once been special. Can you read that again?
Yes. Around his shoulders was a tiny cloth, which had once been a large rag, which had once been a ripped coat, which had once been a fine coat.
Okay, stop. Okay. Which had once been, which had once been, which had once been. She's got that rhythmic pattern there. That's what Dickens often does. This pattern inside, and we're not talking about that today. I'm going to make a separate session just for this kind of patterning. But it is so beautiful. And again, this transformation. And it's similar, if we go back to Nami talking about what the hands, where we got the sense of the hands in the office, in the kitchen, fixing the car. And now we have this cloth that is itself following the decline of economic resources as this man's life collapses. I once, this is a digression, I know. I once took a train to go mushroom collecting with a friend up in Oregon. So it was several hundred miles. I didn't want to drive. So I thought I could take the train because it was going where these mushrooms were growing. I study wild mushrooms. And I had just purchased a stick from a street person at the bus stop on the way to the train station. Okay. So I am holding this stick from a street person, all painted, very fancy, spectacular thing. And this man comes up to me who is at the train station, and he starts talking to me, and he says what a beautiful stick it is. And it turns out he was a street person. And when I looked carefully, then I could see it's got layers and layers and layers. And he describes a life story similar to what Perry describes. He'd been a businessman, life was good, then he gets divorced, and a whole bunch of things happen. He gets laid off all in the same month, and he ends up on the streets. So it's something that happens to people. And at the end, just to end, I'm sorry for talking so much about this, but he now couldn't even stand up straight. He couldn't even manage to stand up straight. He was down. So you've even got the body gesture completely linked in with his personality and his life story. So all I can say is, Perry, please be sure, as everybody who's read today, to send it in for Stone Soup. But congratulations, that was really fine. All right, who's next?
So I think last we have Iago.
Okay, Iago.
Okay. A tall man leaned against the wall, feigning harmlessness. Let me do that again, sorry. A tall man leaned against the wall, feigning harmlessness. His biceps flexed through his ebony cloak as he crossed his arms against his chest, covering whatever he was hiding in his cloak. His hood covered part of his face, but revealed enough to let anyone who came too close know what they were dealing with. His cheeks were like a panther's, lean but fit. He had piercing brown eyes that analyzed his surroundings, always knowing the closest piece of cover or his closest exit at all times. He had thin pink lips that sheathed his teeth until they had to be used. He had a pointed nose, sharper than a switchblade. That's what I got.
Okay, look. Everybody's doing so much better this week, Iago, that last week we were all still like it's rusty from the summer. So look, what you've got here, it also is really, really good. It's really, really good. Really good. I just love that word. This man, he's leaning against the wall, feigning harmlessness. Do you all know what the word feigning means? Anybody who doesn't, look, speak up. If you don't know a word, you need to say.
It means like faking, I think, right?
Yeah, he's deceiving them. He's pretending to look harmless, but he's really harmful. And that is just really clever, Iago, to do that. So this is where, again, within the description of the person, we're already getting a sense of deep character, core character. So he's like this. He's hiding something apparently. His hood is sort of like this, and then we get these very aggressive descriptions of the character of the face. So the cheeks are like a panther. Panthers will whip you to shreds and kill you. Piercing eyes. Think of the hawk. I mean, after the panther, then a piercing eye, it's going to be like a hawk. So we've got this predatory animals being brought into descriptions, and and then this final thing you did, the pointed nose like a switchblade. So of all the things to compare a nose to, with this person, the switchblade is absolutely perfect, and just adds to that degree of menace that you've developed. So Iago, I'd say that's a really special, brilliant little vignette. I'm going to call it a vignette description of this guy. So thank you. I know it's a great role reversal. Now you're the last person. Your sister was always the last one. Great, guys. We did a lot better this week. We did better than we all, I think you all got it this week. So thanks for all coming. Is Liam still here? No. I hope to hear from him next week, in 2 weeks. So again, no class next week. I think I'm going to manage to send you out a letter, though, just to remind you I want you to be writing and practicing. And that's it. See you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 9 o'clock
See you.
Pacific time. Ciao, everybody. Bye-bye.